Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Swedish J11 sitting at 1.3 battle rating. Originally a, Italian plane, the CR-42. Also known longer already as the premium German plane, which was once available. I don't know if it's still available, but yeah, so this plane is in 3 different trees now, and it's quite the nice plane, definitely. First, I want to make a small remark of a small mistake by one of my officers today. We had, after my call out in my Jabber video, we had a lot of applications to the squadron, and well, my officer by accident filled up the squadron to 128, so a full squadron. What does that do though? That cancels all the open applications that a squadron has left. So if you had an application out and you wanted to join the squadron, make sure to reapply. If you were rejected today, that was by accident, he will be punished. I'm just kidding. But mistakes were made, and everybody today was rejected by accident by the filling up of the squadron. Then the game automatically rejects everybody that was left. So in applications. Oh well, just a technicality, but if you do want to join the squadron, make sure to reapply. It only seems that we have 1 spot free, but that's not quite true. We still have a lot of people that are not on Discord, for example, or not participating enough. And we also have people that are currently going through their trial month, but there's already a few that may not make it. So there will always be spots coming open, and we will work through the people who apply. So there is that. Okay, enough about that. The J11 in the Swedish tree. What kind of plane is this? The maximum speed in this plane at sea level is 345 kilometers an hour without whip, and 365 with at 65 at 4,500 meters. Still go up to 315 without whip and 350 with whip, and even more powerful whip at 4,500 meters. And then finally at 6,500 meters you can do 290 without whip and 304 with whip. So around 4,500 meters, 5,000 meters, the war emergency power on this plane is the most powerful and will give you the better horsepower increase. So that's quite nice. The plane is decently fast at 1.3 battle rating, but definitely there are other planes that are just as fast as this one, so it's definitely not one of the outliers. More in a little bit on the top edge of the middle of the pack. The top speed in the dive is 549 kilometers an hour before she redlines, and 600 kilometers before she rips apart. That is, well, it's decent, but it's not fantastic. This plane does have, for a biplane, it's one of the better ones in a dive. For example, it is about 20 kilometers faster than the Sea Gladiator in a dive, and it rips about 15 kilometers an hour, 17 kilometers an hour later as well. Control stiffening on this one starts a little later as well at 350, and a second tick at 500, which makes this plane quite well on the controls, on the compression in a dive. And that is quite good for a biplane, that is. I mean, the monoplanes are often better, but this biplane is quite good in a dive. Stall speed is 120, and that is definitely slightly below par for the biplanes. It's a big bulky biplane, this one. Firepower is above average with 2 12.7mm Akan M40 machine guns with 450 rounds per gun. Ammo load is good though. You can have no bombs on this plane, so it's pure fighter. There is that, quite the nice fighter. Not too maneuverable though. It is not your average biplane. The other day one of my squadron mates who was flying with us, and he said like, why am I being outturned by a monoplane? Well, that is because you are flying a CR-42 in disguise called the J11, which is not very maneuverable. It is actually the least maneuverable biplane in the game, with a turn time that, for example, matches BF-109's. Only slightly better, but if that guy is quicker than you and uses his flaps, you will be outturned by a BF-109, which apparently, according to the stat card, has a turn rate of 20 seconds. And, well, you know, this plane isn't much better. So it's a very bad turning biplane. Anyway, where was I? The acceleration in the plane, though, that is in a straight line is good, and in a dive it's very good. Again, that performance in the dive is really nice. That's one of the strengths in this biplane. The energy retention in the horizontal is decent, and in the vertical it is also decent. So decent overall in the energy retention. Vertical maneuvers, you need to do them carefully, because there is a few planes at this battle rating that are quite good in the vertical energy retention. You do have a decent speed in this thing. It picks up speed in a dive quite nicely with the dive acceleration, which is quite good. He also climbs good, which is nice, and that all does support boom and zooming, which is what this plane should do if you want to fly her correctly. As I said, the turn time is, well, it is maybe above average, although, I mean, for the 1.3 battle rating in general, but it is definitely not very good. It may be even average, because the plane is even worse than a lot of the 1.3 monoplanes that you have in turn time. So it's definitely not one of the things you want to do in this plane. The plane also has no flap support, no flaps on this plane, so there is no help there to make your turn rate any better, unfortunately. The roll rate in the plane is also average. Nothing spectacular, nothing to write home about. Overall maneuverability is only slightly above average. Overheating in the plane is not an issue. And the durability is good. There is that. That is nice. You can take a hit or two, and that is awesome. But this plane has precious little strength. The guns are also not fantastic. The 12.7 Akans are the weakest Swedish guns you have. They are a little bit annoying to lead, because they take a little bit more lead, and the guns don't seem to be quite as effective as the other Swedish guns. So yeah, they were quite disappointing. Maybe they're just the Italians with a different name, right? That sounds like a viable option. So what is left in this plane? What can you do in this plane actually? Well, you got to be sharp. You got to get your guns on target. With this, I had some problems with that here and there, because I didn't feel there was such a drop-off on the general Swedish guns. You know, I had a different experience on most of them with leading, and the 12.7s lead completely different. So you got to be aware of that. And there is no turning in this plane. Energy fighting, she's just average. He doesn't shine in that. But boom and zooming, she's actually quite good at it, especially at her own battle rating and in down tiers. She has a good performance in the dive, good handling in the dive, doesn't compress too much, and the top speed is also quite good. So and when you do get the guns on target, then she does what she was intended to do. But yeah, turning and energy fighting are out of the question, in the sense that she doesn't shine at that. So you don't want to start from that idea. You want to start from the idea of boom and zooming. If you can't do otherwise, you got to try to energy fight as best as you can, and she's still competitive in that, but she is far from the best. And then when you have to, when you are forced into a turn fight, if you have to, be smart about it, and hope that you have so much more skill than the other person that you can compensate for the lack of turn time in this plane. So yeah, there is that, but still I did have a lot of fun flying it, from the initial disaster where I tried to remember what this plane actually does and what she can and can't do. And yeah, I was shot a few times, yeah, definitely. But after I got up to speed, I got a few 3-kill matches in a row, as you saw in this video, and started to do well in her. So she does have a niche, she does have a place, but this biplane, man, it is not the first biplane that I would choose to fly to get your rank 1 unlocked for the Swedish. Here this Breda 88 gives us a hard time. Nice Italian plane that, by the way. I love the design. Quite a fast plane at this battle rating. Anyway, we got to get back to base, which we did, and then we came back into the field, and we still have that Breda to deal with. We still have a Kai-27 and a bomber. Quite nice to come from altitude with this plane when you feel that you're in your strength with it. Like, I had to do my best to survive against that Breda before, because I wasn't in the right position in the plane. I had to turn, and turning, well, as I said, it is definitely not the strength of this plane, which is quite unfortunate for the biplane lovers among us. And that also gives some people the wrong idea, like that squadron mate of mine who wasn't well versed with the CR42, and thus considered this plane a biplane. And then thinking biplanes, you usually think, well, okay, I can outturn most people. This is definitely not the case, by the way. You got to start learning your biplanes as well, because there is huge differences between the different biplanes. If you have a biplane, you're probably never gonna outturn an I-15, for example. Because that is the best turning biplane in the game. But yeah, I know, man. I mean, you gotta know your planes. That's why I also always advise people to level trees together and stay in the lower ranks for quite a bit as you go up the trees. Don't be shy at pick a few nations, 3 or 4, and fly those nations a lot and together, and level them up together. Don't be in a rush to get to jets, man. There's no use to that. If you get to jets quickly, you are not yet a full-fledged experienced pilot, and you will suffer in jets. That will then burn you out and you will leave the game. You first gotta work on your piloting skills, and you gotta start working on that in the lower tiers. You know, dogfighting and all that jazz. Get control of the plane, start to become better, move up the ranks slowly, know your planes, know your enemies, and work your way up, man. It takes time. We got 3 kills in this one and 4 ground targets. Quite nice. Getting the results in slowly. We've got Terror of the Sky and Bulletproof, 10,000 Silver Lions and almost 5,000 modification points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. The J11 or the CR42, well, 1.3 battle rating. Good boom and zoomer. What can I say? It climbs really nicely for a biplane. It is decently fast. It is best at 4,500 meters, where the web really is powerful. And she can do great things from that altitude going downwards. Don't get lured into extensive energy fights or extensive turn fighting. You will lose against most planes at its battle rating. So be aware of that. Don't do that. For the rest, I think she's one of the best looking biplanes in the game. She's fun to fly, but it's one of the first planes you can really boom and zoom really well in, and definitely the first biplane that is very good at it. Also in the dive, the compression is not too bad, and yeah, I quite like it, but I don't like the guns. And well, in a biplane you always expect that you almost want to turn fight in a biplane, but you can't do it in this one, unfortunately. For the rest, solid plane. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.